Oh, who shall from this dungeon rise, a soul enslaved so many ways, with bolts of bones that fettered stands, and feet and manacled in hands? Here blinded with an eye, and there, deaf with the drumming of an ear. A soul hung up as 'twere in chains of nerves and arteries and veins, tortured beside each other part, in a vain head and double heart.
Oh, who shall deliver me whole from the bonds of this tyrannic soul, which, stretched upright, impales me so, that mine own precipice I go, and warms and moves this needless frame? A fever could not do the same, and, wanting where its spite to try, has made me live to let me die, a body that could never rest, since this ill spirit it possessed.
What magic could me thus confine, within another's grief to pine? Where whatsoever it complain, I feel that cannot feel the pain, and all my care itself employs, that to preserve me which destroys. Constrained not only to endure diseases, but, what's worse, the cure, and ready off the port to gain, and shipwrecked into health again.
But physic yet could never reach the maladies thou me dost teach, whom first the cramp of hope does tear, and then the palsy shakes of fear. The pestilence of love does heat, or hatred's hidden ulcer eat. Joy's cheerful madness does perplex, or sorrow's other madness vex, which knowledge forces me to know, and memory will not forego. What but a soul could have the wit to build me up for sin so fit? So architects do square and hew green trees that in the forest grew.
Hello! So today we will be analyzing a dialogue between the soul and body by Andrew Marvell. Soul. Oh, who shall from this dungeon rise, a soul enslaved so many ways, with bolts of bones and fettered stands, and feet and manacled in hands? Here blinded with an eye, and there deaf with the drumming of an ear, a soul hung up as 'twere in chains of nerves and arteries and veins, tortured besides each other's part, in a vain head and double heart. Basically, what the soul's saying here is that it's trapped within the body's limits and limitations, and without any way to experience the outside world for themselves, like seeing things, hearing things. They only see and hear what the body can, and they're constantly just with them in the body. Oh, who shall me deliver whole from bonds of this tyrannic soul, which stretched upright impales me so, that mine own precipice I go, and warm and moves this needless frame? A fever could but do the same, and wanting where in spite to try, has made me live to let me die, a body that could never rest, since ill spirit it possessed. The body just wants to express itself, but the soul continues to pull it back with its wants and desires, and the body feels like it can't rest, it can't do its own thing without the soul being there, like hanging over it and complaining. The soul. What magic could me thus confine, within another's grief to pine? Where whatsoever it complain, I feel that cannot feel the pain, and all my care itself employs, to preserve which me destroys. Constrained not only to endure diseases, but what's worse, secure, and ready off the port to gain, and shipwrecked into health again. It constantly deals with the body's pain and with its own pain, so it kind of gets double. And when the body dies, it'll die too, but when the body gets healthier, it can be stronger than the soul, and the soul gets pushed back yet again and can't be its own thing. And it takes everything the soul has to stay alive and stay true to itself, the body. But physic yet could never reach the maladies thou me dost teach, with whom first the cramp of hope does tear, and then the palsy shakes of fear. The pestilence of love does heat, or hatred hidden ulcer eat. Joy's cheerful madness does perplex, or sorrow's other madness vex, which knowledge forces me to know, and memory will not forego. What but a soul could have the wit to build me up for sin so fit? So architects do square and hew green trees that in the forest grew. The body sees emotions and feeling as sickness and doesn't quite understand them, and it kind of bothers him. And the soul is basically the conscience, and the body feels as if it's failing and leading them to sin, the both of them, because they're tethered together. And the body has no control over what the soul does. With Soapstone, we said the speakers were obviously the soul and the body. Occasion, Marvell was aging, and he was around 60 when he wrote this. So it depicts how he probably felt at that time, how he didn't feel pleased with his mind and body. Audience, it could be for his own doing, own amusement, his own need. Any fans of his work could be the audience. Anyone who feels conflicted inside. Purpose, express a common feeling that the mind and body are in constant turmoil. The subject, the body and soul are outwardly expressing their distaste for each other, but never directly talking to each other. We said that the tone was anger, distaste, bitter, and narcissistic. Narcissistic in the way that they one-up each other, how the soul constantly feels like their problems are worse than the body's, but the body feels just the same. So they're constantly thinking that what is wrong with them is more important than what's wrong with each other.